The climate crisis is affecting and causing warnings in several countries. In Ecuador, 18 dead due to strong storms, while in China, floods leave at least 9 victims. Cuba joins South Africa in its lawsuit at the International Court of Justice against Israel for its genocide on the Palestinian people in the Gaza. And in France, people are holding protests against the extreme right wing throughout the country in the run-up to the early legislative elections on June the 30th. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Ecuador, an increase in the number of deaths was reported due to the strong storms that have shaken the ending sun of the country since last weekend. The National Secretary of Risk Management reported that so far 18 deaths, 28 injured and 4 missing have been confirmed. Most of the deaths were registered after the landslide that affected last Sunday and are near the tourist municipality of Baños de Agua Santa. The Secretariat also indicated that approximately 21 houses were destroyed and 71 others were reported with minor damages, in addition to 5 bridges destroyed and more than 33 kilometers of public roads damaged. And in El Salvador, the director of civil protection, Luis Amaya, confirmed a total of 13 deaths after the intense rainfalls affecting the country. Amaya highlighted that among the victims is a 14-year-old minor who lost her life after the collapse of one of the walls of her house in the district of Santo Tomas. As a result of the storm, over 1,500 incidents have been reported, including landslides, fallen trees, and obstructed roads. Meanwhile, in France, warnings are issued and evacuations were carried out due to intense storms and floods that have affected different regions for the past weeks. Meteorological teams indicate that during the days on Thursday, the storm were moving eastwards, gradually reaching the German border. And in Kenya, over 300 people were killed due to the heavy rains that have hit the country since March. The United Nations Organization for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs confirmed that floods, slum, rivers, and landslides have forced the displacement of almost 300,000, while another 40 are still missing. The International Economic Development Seminar continues in Venezuela from the Teresa Carreño Theater in Caracas. On the second day of the event, the former president of Ecuador and economist Rafael Correa, as well as the economist Fan Gen from the Development Institute and the Economic Research Institute of China, addressed topics such as economic resilience, the procedure of economies, and the procedure of threatening the economies of the Global South. In this regard, Correa made a balance of economic and human development indicators adjusted to what the world requires today. And we go to Mexico, where the president-elect Claudia Sheinbaum announced the first 6 members of the cabinet. The announcement was made during a press conference held at the Interactive Economic Museum, where Sheinbaum said the new cabinet will have gender parity. The 6 appointed members so far are Rosaura Ruiz Gutiérrez, Marcelo Ebrard, Juan Ramón de la Fuente Ramírez, Alicia Bárcena Ibarra, Julio Verdegue, San Cristán, and Ernestina Groy. The future head of state revealed the next Thursday she will officially present the remaining 6 members of her administration.
We are clear that there is a mandate from the people of Mexico, and that we will not betray that mandate. I am very proud and happy that those who are here today have accepted to be part of our team. They are first quality men and women with experience who will also help us a lot to achieve our objectives in the next 6 years.
And Bolivia celebrates the new Indian Amazon year at the archaeological site of Tiahuanaco. Thousands of Bolivians gathered in more than 200 ceremonial sites throughout the country to receive the first rays of the sun, a celebration of the new year. President Luis Arce, Vice President David Choquehuanca, and other members of the cabinet witnesses the arrival of the year 5532. The new Indian and Choqueño year, also known as the return of the sun and dawn star, represents a new cultural cycle for the original peoples of the Andean. Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. The Cuban government announced that it joins a third state to the South African lawsuit before the International Court of Justice, ICJ, against Israel for the genocide suffered by the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. Through a communique, the Cuban Foreign Ministry indicated that it took this decision given that Israel has flagrantly violated international norms with its actions in the illegally occupied Palestinian territory of the Gaza Strip. The Foreign Ministry added that the main objective is to stop the atrocities of the Israeli army against the Palestinian people. With this step, Cuba joined Chile, Nicaragua, Colombia, Mexico, American states that have expressed a request to join South Africa's demand. And in this context, through his social network X, the Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez said, Cuba has decided to participate as a third state in South Africa's lawsuit against Israel before the ICJ and will argue the transgression of the genocide conviction to the main judicial body of the UN. We must put an end to the massacre against the people of Gaza. Likewise, a communique issued by the Cuban Foreign Ministry also stated, Israel, with total impunity protected by the complicity of the government of the United States, ignores its obligations and occupying power under the Fourth Geneva Convention. In another paragraph, the government of Cuba emphasized genocide, apartheid, forced displacement, and collective punishment have no place in today's world, nor can they be tolerated by the international community. Justice and respect for the United Nations Charter and international law must prevail. Israeli occupation forces arrived villages in the occupied West Bank where they detained thousands of people. Wafa News agency reported that during the early hours of Friday morning, 80 citizens were taken away with blindfolds on after the military broke into their homes in Jala South camp north of Ramallah. Arrests were also reported in Siulad, Nablus, Alad, and Ramallah. This week, the Palestinian Prisoners Club revealed that more than 9,300 Palestinians, including 75 women and 240 minors, are currently being held in Israeli prisons. In this context, hundreds of citizens denounced a frequent kidnapping and detention that a Zionist regime of Israel continues to carry out in the territory, thus justifies imprisonment, entail criminal treatment, and tortures.
They beat me in jail and then they told me to put my head under the bus and that I could not look up. They beat me on my hands and feet. They beat me very hard and I was very afraid. I wanted to grab someone to get me out, but I couldn't find anyone.
The Palestinian Ministry of Health denounced the killing of 2 Palestinians by the Israeli occupation forces in Qaqiliyah city north of the occupied West Bank. The General Authority for Civil Affairs reported that the victims, aged 28 and 29 years old, were impacted by live ammunition fired by Israeli troops at a civilian vehicle that was passing through the main streets of the city center. During the attack that also left 2 injured, local sources denounced that the occupation forces seized the car, kidnapping the bodies inside it. In the Gaza Strip, authorities denounced the death of thousands of citizens in Israeli prisons after being subject to months of physical and psychological torture. The Authority for Palestinian Prisoners and Ex-Prisoners Affairs details that the figure is in addition to 18 citizens of the occupied West Bank who have died in the prisons of Tel Aviv since October 7, 2023. The officials also accused the Israeli state of crimes against humanity in prisons for the disappearance of the detained and the setting up of mass graves in the facilities. On Friday, Israeli shelling slaughtered at least 15 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, 259 days since the onset of this genocidal war on the civilian population, which has already left over 37,000 deaths. On Thursday afternoon, an attack by the occupation army in the house of Zaytun, southeast of the Gaza Strip, claimed the life of 8 civilians who were transferred to the Bat-Sib hospital. Meanwhile, medical sources further report that 2 citizens were killed and 12 were injured in a shelling of a house in Nusra refugee camp, while a third citizen perished in the Al-Bala military raid in the city. Attacks were further registered in Khan Younis and Rafah in the south of the devastated Gaza Strip. Still in Palestine, the media department appealed to UNESCO to urge Israel to stop its aggressions toward cultural and educational centers in Gaza Strip. Dozens of books from public and private libraries in the coastal enclave have been destroyed by the Zionist regime of Israel, including library infrastructures. The media department denounced that Israel, with these crimes, tears down a part of Gazans' life, practicing an ethnic cleansing that includes the disappearance of the Palestinian historical memory and the spread of international ignorance.
The Gaza Municipal Library, where we are now, is considered one of the most important libraries in the city of Gaza. This library included 3 sections: the book section, language section and the children's section. This library had about 50,000 books and was described as the main library of Gaza City during the Israeli aggression and war. The Israeli occupation forces deliberately attacked several life elements in Gaza City as it attacked and destroyed offices, in addition to tearing down a library in the Rashad al-Shura Center, and smashed many private and public libraries in several universities and institutions, where many libraries changed their role after being attacked in Gaza City.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. The French people are holding protests against the extreme right wing throughout the country in the run-up to the early legislative elections on June 30. Thousands of people demonstrated this Thursday in the city of Rennes, called by trade unions and organizations group in the Popular Front left-wing coalition. The participants of the march advanced through the streets, chanting and emphasis on slogans and carrying banners reading social response against the extreme right. They expressed their rejection to the ideas of Marine Le Pen's National Group Party and its candidates for Prime Minister Jordan Bardella.
Like many people, I have a huge fear of seeing the national grouping in power with a government majority and a far-right prime minister. It's simply terrifying. We know that in all countries where there are far-right regimes, there are restrictions on fundamental freedoms, rollbacks on abortion, on all kinds of issues that are super important to us. And that's why it's super important to march, to be present.
In South Korea, the government announced that it would reconsider its position on supplying arms to Ukraine after Russia and North Korea signed a mutual assistance treaty in case of either of them is attacked. The South Korean government condemns the agreement signed by Russia and North Korea and noted that any cooperation that directly or indirectly assists North Korea violates the Security Council resolutions. Seoul also warned that if Moscow harms the South Korea security, it will have negative impact on their bilateral relations.
The government clearly highlights that any act that directly or indirectly helps North Korea to increase its military force is a violation of the UN Security Council resolution and will be sanctioned by the international community, especially Russia, which is a permanent member of the Security Council. Violating the resolution and threatening South Korea's national security by supporting North Korea will negatively affect South Korea-Russia relations.
And China blames the European Union for sparking a possible trade war due to increased tensions following the implementation of sanctions. Beijing reaffirms its commitment to World Trade Organization rules and calls on the European Union to moderate its use of trade countermeasures. Government representatives state that so far this year, the regional bloc has introduced 31 restrictions on trade and investments from China. China warns that these actions will unleash an unprecedented trade war. This in response to recent threats by the European Union to impose trade tariff on imports of electric vehicles. In India, authorities warn about an increase in fatalities following the consumption of adulterated alcohol. The affected allegedly consumed spurious liquor sold in packets and such as last Tuesday and suffered afterwards various symptoms that alert authorities in the Kalakurshi district in the state of Tamil Nadu. The toxic mix has caused the death of 53 people thus so far, while 118 are receiving treatment at different hospitals. The district police inspector declared on Thursday that officials are carrying out investigations to describe the origin of the drink. So far, 4 people have been arrested, leading to the size of 200 liters of adulterated alcohol. The government of Nigeria revoked the licenses of French multinational nuclear fuel company Orano as part of the measures implemented to break ties with Paris. The mining ministry of the African country had warned of the possibility of revoking the licenses if work had not started before June 19, claiming that measures follow the nation's security interests. After the end of the concession, a representative of the French state-owned company regretted the order to withdraw from the mine in Oimuri after 50 years of exploitation, use and equipment of the production. Nigeria's natural uranium accounts for a quarter of the supply to Europe. In this sense, the decision could have broader geopolitical implications. And now changing topics. In Peru, world race walking champion Kimberly Garcia becomes the hopes of her country for an Olympic medal at the Paris 2024 Games. Garcia won the 20 kilometers and 35 race walk to 2020 World Champions in Eugene in the United States, becoming the first ever Peruvian world medalist of the event and the first Latin American to earn 2 titles in the same edition. After competing retirement due to an unfavorable performance in Tokyo 2020, the Portuguese persisted in the sport and 2023 won the 20 kilometers Pan-American gold medal in Santiago. It is worth highlighting that the last time a Peruvian climbed a podium in the Olympics was in Barcelona in 1992. Therefore, Garcia emerged as the main hope for the South American nation to break the 32-year drought at the July 26 Games.
Bueno, las expectativas son bastante altas.
The expectations are very high. I wouldn't say I just want the gold medal, and that's it. Whether it's gold, silver, or bronze, it will always be well received. As long as I get on the podium, I think I will be very happy. I mean, I don't want to lie and tell you that I will be fine with a 4th or 5th place, because that will be disappointing for me.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but before that, let's watch a clip of the unique concert in support of peace, freedom, and justice for Palestine, offered today by musical legends Roger Waters and Cat Stevens in the company of rapper Loki, as well as other special guests who joined this initiative. For teleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.
Hey, bald man, I have a question. As one of many victims, tell me why a failed, fat, fucking landlord has been chosen to decide who should live and who should die. Sweetheart, there's a reason you come in here. I know I was just putting on my dancing shoes. With the right moves, we can turn this ship around.